Imagine this. One dagger strike, one heartbeat, one decision, and the entire course of Roman history could have unravelled. Rome, the empire that shaped the world for centuries, was constantly balanced on a knife's edge. And sometimes, quite literally, it was a knife that determined who lived, who ruled, and who was remembered. Today, we're diving into a story of an assassination attempt that almost changed Roman history forever. This isn't just about politics, it's about ambition, betrayal, survival, and the thin line between chaos and stability in one of history's greatest empires. So, buckle up. Please like and subscribe for more Historical Facts channel content. And, by the end of this video, you will see how a single assassination attempt could have rewritten the story of Rome, and maybe even the story of our world. To understand why this assassination mattered so much, we need to set the stage. Rome wasn't always the sprawling empire we think of today. For centuries, it was a republic, senators debating, consuls leading, generals fighting. But ambition and rivalry chipped away at that system until one man rose above them all: Julius Caesar. By the mid-1st century BCE, Caesar had become too powerful. His victories in Gaul, his popularities with the Roman people, and his refusal to step aside put him on a collision course with the Senate. And that collision reached its bloody climax on the Ides of March 44 BCE, when Caesar was stabbed to death by a group of senators led by Brutus and Cassius. Now, here's the twist. While everyone knows about Caesar's assassination, far fewer know another assassination, one aimed at Caesar's successor, nearly changed everything again. Because of the chaos of Caesar's death, another figure began to rise: his adopted heir, Gaius Octavius, better known as Octavian, and later as Augustus. And the assassination we're talking about today wasn't aimed at Caesar. It was aimed at Octavian. When Caesar was killed, the Senate hoped to restore the Republic. But politics doesn't work that cleanly. Power just doesn't vanish. And into the vacuum stepped a young, sickly, and seemingly inexperienced man, Octavian. At just 18 years old, Octavian inherited Caesar's name, fortune, and most importantly, his loyal legions. Many underestimated him, thinking he was too weak to matter. But they were wrong. Octavian was shrewd, calculating, and willing to wait for the perfect moment. He allied with Mark Antony and Lepidus, forming the Second Triumvirate, a three-man dictatorship that ruled Rome with an iron grip. Together, they launched brutal purges, hunting down Caesar's assassins and redistributing power. But alliances in Rome never lasted long. Antony, Lepidus, and Octavian were bound to clash, and it was during this dangerous period of shifting loyalties and fragile alliances that Octavian's life almost came to a violent end. The story unfolds during the unstable years following the defeat of Caesar's assassins at Philippi. Rome was still fractured, and Octavian was consolidating power. But power attracts enemies, and Octavian had plenty. Among them was a senator named Lucius Antonius, the younger brother of Mark Antony. Lucius was furious at how Octavian was sidelining Antony's influence in Italy. Tensions boiled into open conflict, leading to what's known as the Pursulline War of 41 BCE. During this struggle, Octavian's enemies saw their chance. According to Roman sources, a conspiracy was hatched to assassinate him. The idea was simple. remove Octavian, and Antony could dominate Rome unopposed. The conspirators almost succeeded. Accounts differ, but some say it was during negotiations, others during a moment of supposed truce. But the plot came terrifyingly close to striking Octavian down. In fact, one ancient writer claims Octavian narrowly escaped an ambush that would have left him dead on the spot. Just imagine, no Augustus, no Pax Romana, no Roman Empire as we know it. Instead, Octavian survived. The assassination attempt failed, and in retaliation, he brutally crushed the rebellion at Perusia, punishing entire towns and sending a message that betrayal against him would not be tolerated. Octavian's survival had immediate consequences. First, it cemented his reputation as a man protected by fate, almost untouchable. Roman propaganda loved this idea. Surviving an assassination attempt wasn't just luck, it was a sign the gods were on his side. Second, it deepened the rift between him and Mark Antony. Although they had been allies, trust was now impossible. The rivalry escalated, and before long, Rome plunged into another round of civil wars. Ultimately, this rivalry came to a head at the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE, where Octavian defeated Antony and Cleopatra. With Antony gone, Octavian stood alone at the top, and in 27 BCE, he became Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. But think about how fragile that chain of events was. One dagger thrust in 41 BCE, and Antony could have taken sole control. Rome might have evolved into something entirely different, perhaps ruled from Alexandria under Antony and Cleopatra's dynasty, instead of from Rome under Augustus. So, what did Octavian's survival really mean for history? For one, it gave Rome stability. Under Augustus, Rome transitioned from endless civil wars to the Pax Romana, a 200-year-old period of relative peace and prosperity. Roads were built, trade flourished, laws were standardized, and culture thrived. The arts blossomed. Think of Virgil writing the Aeneid, Ovid penning his poetry, and monumental architecture reshaping Rome itself. All of this was possible because Augustus lived. But beyond Rome, the ripple effects were staggering. Without Augustus, Christianity might not have spread the way it did. Remember, Jesus was born during Augustus's reign. The infrastructure and relative peace of the Pax Romana allowed the message of Christianity to spread across the empire. Change that one variable, Augustus's survival, and the world history looks very different. Let's play the ultimate what if. If Octavian had been assassinated, Mark Antony would almost certainly have dominated. But Antony was closely tied to Cleopatra and Egypt. Imagine Rome's capital shifting eastward, its culture infused even more deeply with Egyptian traditions. The Senate might have lost even more power, and the Roman Empire could have taken a drastically different shape, or perhaps collapsed sooner under infighting. Would Christianity have spread as it did? Would the empire have fractured earlier? Would Europe as we know it even exist? We can't say for sure, but what we can say is this. Octavian's survival didn't just shape Roman history, it shaped the foundations of Western civilization. So, there you have it, the assassination attempt that nearly changed Roman history forever. One failed plot, one young man's survival, and the world was set on a path towards empire, peace, and cultural transformation. History often turns on big battles and famous speeches, but sometimes it turns on the edge of a blade that missed its mark. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Roman history, make sure to hit and like that button. Subscribe for more history explored, and let me know in the comments, What do you think would have happened if Octavian had been assassinated? Thanks for watching, and remember, history isn't just about the past. It's about the fragile, unpredictable choices that shape our future.